things. The best of 2021.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Wednesday. Hey, this is the first show of 2021. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. And as always, Steven, how's it going, bud?
Good, how are you? You actually forgot a promo, Leo.
I forgot a promo?
Yeah. We just got a newest acquisition, didn't we?
We did, as long as I play it in the first 15 minutes. I'm working on it, Steven. Brandon.
You got 11 fucking minutes to play that thing, then. I'm okay, man. How are you doing?
Doing great. RW.
What's up, people?
What's up?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
I wanted to get some sad news out of the way. We had some passings recently that kind of hit everybody pretty hard. Betty White, obviously.
Never heard of her.
Huge loss. Yeah.
I have no idea who that is.
Wow.
I grew up watching Nick at Night, so like I was very familiar with her from Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah.
And the Golden Girls simultaneously. Very strange dichotomy going on there.
What's funny is since I'm older than all of you, I watched her on Match Game. That's where I really
I remember that.
Originally.
Jesus.
The first movie I saw her in was like Placid, and then when me and my girlfriend found out about her passing, I explained to her that the first movie I saw her in was like Placid, and I wanted to watch it. She's like, "No, I want to watch Proposal," because that's what she was in. She was in The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock, and I guess I lost the majority vote on that one.
This is a vote of 2 people. I like that. I lost the majority vote.
Proposal is a great movie.
Yeah, it is, but I'm not fan of chick flicks.
Yeah, Steve sounds convinced.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's certainly a movie, Leo.
In our case, it's not let the Wookiee win. It's let the girlfriend win.
Hey, for us, happy wife, happy life. For
Yes.
a happy girlfriend, happy life.
Yes.
As long as
Speak
you don't
for
have two of the
yourselves.
same.
Speak for yourselves.
I mean, Tracy puts up with me, and that's a lot to put up with. And people see her all the time and go, "How do you do it? How do you do it?" Right? So when she wants to watch something, I go, "You pick," and she goes, "I picked last time," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you don't want to watch James Bond," and she's like, "No, I don't," and I go, "So therefore, you pick."
I mean, I have had similar discussions, but like
we do that too.
It's so funny to me. Like Dara, like she's like itty bitty and super cutesy and looks like she's like 10 years younger than me, even though she's only like 3 months younger than me. And people say to me, like, unprovoked, just unsolicited, like regularly, like, "Wow, you're real lucky, man. Like she's great." I was like, what do you mean I'm lucky? Like, you barely know her. Like, I'm lucky because I'm with her. She could be a fucking nightmare for all you know. I could be up for sainthood. I could be replacing St. Peter at the pearly gates when I finally drop because of the shit I put up with. What the fuck do you know? And like, is she that bad? I'm like, no, not really. You're kind of on the nose, but that's not the point.
See, if that was true with Tracy, I would never admit that, especially on this podcast where everybody could see it.
Oh yeah, no, Dara will watch this and she will laugh because she'll be like, "Oh yes, I've heard this."
One thing that was pretty cool was, I saw, different memories of Betty White in all the different communities. Even Superman, they had a posting with Betty White where she was on was it George Reeves show?
Oh,
That
wow.
sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's it sucks to lose anybody. But how do I put this? It's a loss is a loss, and you can't help but feel that. Especially for somebody who's been such a part of like the pop culture for so long in different facets. But at the same time, like to a lot of people out there who like truly like were just like, "What? No, how?" I'm like, she was fucking 99. You know what I mean? Like let's be real. Like it's terrible to lose someone, but when they are that old and they've lived that long in good a life, really like they earned it. Like that rest, like good for her, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it might suck for us, but like I think some of us needs to like take a half a step back and realize like some of the like reactions were seemingly far more selfish than sympathetic.
Yeah.
And I understand that's a hard line to walk, especially if you're feeling particularly volatile about it. But just realize like she was a woman that was essentially beloved by everyone by the time she did pass. And there's far worse ways to go than peacefully at that old an age. So like I think we're very fortunate to have had her for as long as we did.
Yep.
And
yeah, and
I
she
think
has there's no Betty White scandal.
No,
there's no whatever. And what you said is absolutely true. And it's always a delicate way of wording something like that, because I mean, Dick Van Dyke's 95 or 96, and you got, Gene Hackman's up there in age, and Mel Brooks, and there's all these other people. And that's the thing that gets me every time. No disrespect intended on anybody's life who dies, but somebody who's 99 years old or 95 or 96, Dick Van Dyke, for instance, they'll be like, "No, not Dick Van Dyke, dude. He's 98 years old." Or
yes,
whatever.
Dick
So
Van Dyke, exactly.
It's not like he is 15 years old and he just got on the scene. He's been doing this for, when we were kids, he was 40 or whatever,
Yeah,
So,
like when are you gonna allow these folks to take a fucking break? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, they literally had to die for you to stop expecting them to do shit. That's insanity.
Yeah, so I get that, and I feel that way every time because people are like, "No, why that person?" Because they were 99
Because
years
they were a
old.
century old. Like,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
why.
And
But we wanted her in the Golden Girls reboot.
Oh,
yeah,
is she gonna be the only fucking one? I mean,
and what
Jesus,
you
can
said
show
about
up as horse ghosts. Sorry.
what you said about us being selfish, I believe it was Kenny Baker, but I could be wrong. Was supposed to be at Rhode Island Comic Con or something, and he passed away. And this person posted, "I can't believe he died. I was going to see him at Rhode Island Comic Con, and now I can't."
Yeah.
And I'm like, the guy,
It's a good reason to be
like,
upset, I suppose.
I'm sure he died on purpose so you couldn't get a chance to meet him. I'm sure that was he's like, this person wants to meet me. I have to die so that this is the only way I can ruin this person's life. Like, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. There's only one way I can ruin this. I have to die.
I saw one selfish comment. Someone said, so obviously we all know Fathom Offense is doing their Betty White's 100th anniversary celebration. And someone made a comment saying, I believe this person said, well, I guess this blew up in Hollywood's face or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
What, celebrating the long career in life of a woman?
No,
Yeah,
I thought
no. I agree with you, Steve. I know what you're saying. Like,
no, I saw it and I was like, what? This doesn't make sense. It's just a celebration.
Yeah.
Whether she makes it to it or not, it's just a celebration.
Yeah, suck on that, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like,
Well,
do I have to?
unfortunately, you get people that live in their own bubble, and it's sad, It's but I also wanted to make note. We lost another one close to in the pop culture community. Rob Bruce passed way too soon. He was found in a storage unit, and from what I've read, he was like a workaholic, and he was, I guess, working overnight or staying in the booth, not the booth, but the storage unit. So,
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, in New Jersey. Ugh.
Yeah, he ran the New Jersey HorrorCon, but he's also he's the toy guy from Comic Book Men.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's awful. It's never great when you lose people for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if they're a piece of shit, nobody cares. Like, I don't think we're gonna see a lot of people too upset when R. Kelly goes. Just saying. I mean, I'm sorry if you're one of the folks that's gonna tear yourself apart when he fucking drops, but like, let's call it spade a spade.
We tend to go like, oh my God, Betty White died and the whole world's blazing. It's like, oh, my uncle died, and they're like, sorry.
It's because Betty White meant something to me. I'm not your fucking uncle. Like,
yeah, exactly. But Larry Storch is going to be 99.
Holy crap!
Yeah. So in a couple days, you can look it up, but I think it's like maybe this coming week or something, he'll turn 99.
F Troop, right?
Yeah. So they posted something like, this is a big blow or whatever. We were going to celebrate Larry's 99th and then celebrate Betty's 100th or whatever. So, but yeah, it's amazing though. We get some of these, like you say, these people have been around forever. We don't want them to go, but I mean, it's not the Moses days where Moses was 500 years old when he died.
our brand new star, Methuselah.
Yeah.
All the way here, direct from the Dead Sea.
Yeah, exactly. And coming soon to Rhode Island Comic Con, Moses and Noah. So you can meet them this weekend. They're doing photo ops. He will have.
I wonder how much money they're going to book for them too.
He'll have his staff and the tablets. So make sure you join us here at Rhode Island Comic Con for Moses and Noah.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Jonathan says, I thought he was dead already.
Hold on. Who?
I think he talking
Larry
about
Storch.
Larry Storch. Yeah.
No, he is not. He is actually his birthday.
And that's
is on
the funny
8th.
thing. Like people who are that old, you go, Betty White thought she was dead already. Because like they have been around for so long, people think they're already gone because they're like, no one lives that long.
What was the actor? They even had a website. Is he alive or dead?
Well, Richard Pryor, before he died, his
No.
website said, I ain't
Was
dead
it-
yet, motherfucker.
Was it
And I
Abe
thought that was the
Vigoda?
funniest
Yes,
thing.
Abe Vigoda. That was it.
Abe Vigoda,
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood's sexiest man.
But
I had the same birthday. He's dead now, but yeah, he's one of the few famous people who are like, hey, me and him. And
I always
Wilhelm
found
Grant.
Abe Vigoda a little fishy.
Oh my god.
For our younger viewers, he played Fish.
That means
Yeah.
on Barney Miller.
On Barney Miller, yeah.
And the spinoff.
Yes, Fish.
Fish. It's like Cleveland said in Family Guy. It's like, why didn't they just have fish on before chips? I mean, marketing practically writes itself.
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips.
Yeah.
But
John-
he also played the father/grandfather in Look Who's Talking. In case anybody never watched Fish or Barney Miller.
Steve Guttenberg, Ted Danza, Tom Selleck.
Ted Danza.
What?
That's 3 Men and a Baby.
Ted Danson?
You're right. 3 Men and a Baby. Look Who's
That's
Talking.
right.
John Travolta. Sorry.
John
Got all
Travolta.
confused there.
And Bruce Willis
Trust me,
as
this
the voice
booster
of
shot,
Mikey.
man. This booster shot. Like,
Yes, the booster shot. Wink. I'm
Oh,
saying wink for the people who are only listening. Wink.
yeah.
So I know we want to talk about the best of 2021, and a bunch of people watching. We want to know what your best of 2021 was. But anybody watching Book of Boba Fett?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. You guys ever watch the show Parks and Recreation?
I watched some of it.
I know where you're
Oh.
going with this, Brandon, and I know why it was.
Oh, yes.
I watched the pilot episode and I was like, what the fuck? This is exactly what Patton Oswalt's fucking filibuster was in the episode where he was trying to keep them from changing a fucking old ass law in the town. I was like, almost word for word. It is
also,
exactly what happened.
it's just every fan fiction that people have written from hither and yon since Return of the Jedi on forward, and how Boba Fett gotten out of the Sarlacc pit. Yeah, that's exactly how he got out. So they're looking at the books, even though they don't look at the books.
Well, the first iteration, it was shortly after Return of the Jedi in the Marvel comics, that the Jawas actually dug him out. He was being digested by the Sarlacc pit, and the Jawas thought he was a robot. And
Oh yeah, that does sound familiar.
Houdini!
I-
we couldn't find a thing.
somebody gave me that comic in grade school. It had to be like 5th grade or something like that. I absolutely loved it, and I read it so much I still have the issue. It's like being held together just by sheer will. It's like all
Shoved it
battered.
directly into your chest and you're like, get your hopes up, Leo.
But I do like where this is going. I do like that everything we saw in the trailer was in the first episode. So what you're seeing from here on out, episode 2 forward, is just like we don't know what to expect.
I thought episode 1 was fucking horrible. It was
Really?
Because it
Yeah,
was
it was
in a trailer.
it was a classic first episode of a show where the first episodes, the pilot episodes, are usually not the strongest episodes. And that was for me and my wife. We watched it together. That was certainly the case for the Book of Boba Fett. We just watched the second episode, which came out today, which I'm not going to talk about details, but I will say it was much better constructed as a storytelling device than the first. I honestly am a little befuddled just because what we saw in the second episode, for me personally at any rate, is far more interesting than any of the stuff they're setting up like on Tatooine. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to say without spoiling it.
Yeah.
But like stuff, it's jumping back and forth. I'll say that. Like we're seeing stuff that happened and stuff that is happening. And the stuff that is happening, the stuff that did happen, I'm like, oh, show me more of this. I would have liked for this to be the story building up to
Yeah.
what it is we're seeing from the very start. The Pulp Fiction-esque thing isn't quite doing it for me with
I
this.
think I have a theory on that. So, you know how it's like you're saying, building up what on how, you know, he's in the
Yeah.
sand and all that stuff. It's building up to where we are now. And it's not really building up to the modern part, right? Modern storyline.
Well, no, I mean what it is I find the modern stuff, like the present stuff, very uninteresting.
Right. That's what I'm
Well,
trying.
it's all roughly around the same time period, though.
But I mean, there's clearly a series of events. There's a chain of events.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
There's
And like we started off.
The
you know,
Mandalorian's in between it.
Yeah, like let's say present time is B, all right, and the past stuff came before it is A, and then from B we'll get to C. Well, they started off with B, and I don't really fucking care. But then they went to A, and I'm like, oh, this is the story you should be fucking telling, and because like it started with this episode starting off, and then it shifts. Like for the first little bit, my wife and I were just kind of like, oh, good. This is 50 fucking minutes long. Hurrah.
But
And
look at
then
the bright side. It's only 6 episodes.
yeah, no.
What
But
I-
here's the thing. When it got into like going into the story, what brought him to where we see him at the start, that's where episode 2 really starts like getting into it. That's where I found myself interested and more engrossed in what they were doing. I was honestly perplexed, and my wife and I we turned to each other and said like, oh yep, this is pilot episode syndrome. I feel like they had a very broad idea of what they were going to do, and they were like let's just make this first episode as general as possible, and then we'll work out the details in the subsequent episodes. That's usually how it goes.
Farpoint.
So what I was trying to say, the stuff going on in the present time and the stuff going on, the flashbacks, basically the stuff in the flashbacks later in the later episodes will probably dwindle and we won't get much action, and the stuff in the present time will get more action. Does that make sense?
I mean, I hope that the stuff that's taking place presently has more action, because right now, and this is not a spoiler, I'm not saying any details, but right now, it's like the fucking crime syndicate version of the Phantom Menace. If I hear one more fucking person talk about shit in ridiculous terms too,
where is your litter?
dude,
Where is your litter?
they even in this new episode, like they make so many like self-referential statements that like you have to know deep cut Star Wars knowledge to fully get what it is they're saying. Like you can get stuff from context for the most part.
Not only stuff they're saying, but there was a character in there that actually 2 characters that are actually from a deleted scene from the original Star Wars.
Yeah,
of course. Why wouldn't there be?
and I'm waiting. Obviously, they're mentioning like underworld gangs and everything. I'm waiting for one reference. I'm waiting for Lucasfilm to at least acknowledge one reference, and the 3 of you, RW probably not, for at least one reference, at least. And if they don't, it's okay.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're spoiling anything by saying what you hope for a reference to show up would be. What is it? What is it you're saying?
The Black Sun.
That sounds
You guys-
familiar.
Shadows of the Empire.
Oh,
That
see,
also
I
sounds
didn't-
familiar.
I didn't,
That also sounds familiar.
I didn't play the game. No,
And 64.
You guys read the book. It's part of the book too.
didn't read the book.
Who the fuck are you guys?
I'm a guy who has been very straightforward about the fact that he likes the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, same here.
It could
I've
have been a
never.
movie.
No, but here's the thing. Like my whole jam. Like, listen, if you dig on the books and comic books, that's fucking awesome. Seriously, I think that's great. I never want to like I've said before. I never want
It's
to
an
yuck someone's
underworld
yum.
crime syndicate, and this show is dealing with crime syndicates. So if they at least reference this, I'll be happy. I mean, they're acknowledging characters in the current comics
But
Front part of
also
the
keep in
Empire.
mind it's not going to make it canon, though.
No shit.
Yeah. So one thing I just want to say is these shows that Disney has been producing, it's definitely forcing nostalgia upon everybody.
Yes.
Weaponized nostalgia.
Weaponized nostalgia. But here's the thing: each show has a habit of taking something that is not popular and then turning it around and making you enjoy it. Like Return of the Jedi was you'd have to say out of the 3 original movies, Return of the Jedi is definitely the lame duck of the 3.
Yes.
And
But
this
even
here
then-
definitely revisits and brings us, back to Return of the Jedi. Tusken Raiders, characters that we don't really care about. But now, given the backstory and everything, I'm fully enthralled by the Tusken Raiders.
It makes it more interesting, especially the very end of this episode that we got. It was
Yes.
very interesting, very Kevin Costner 90-ish certain movie vibes.
Waterworld?
No.
The Bodyguard.
5 years earlier, I think Dances with Wolves.
You mean Tatooine Floods?
The last
The
scene
Dune
of the
Sea?
episode. Jesus Christ.
They do reference something from
Yes. Yep. Just.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that was a thing. That was like a known like reference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that George Lucas had read Dune before
Yeah.
he had written the original The Star Wars script. So, I mean, that stands to reason.
Yeah.
There's nothing new under the sun, boys and girls. Nothing.
If they're throwing
But
in
I'm
stuff that we didn't used to like and making us like it, then maybe there's hope for the Star Wars holiday special references.
Yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed, kids.
Hey, Ben and Jeff. It's probably Ben.
Hello, Ben.
We're talking dorky stuff.
And Ben's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm out. Bye."
We just had a very cool dorky guest on Still Token with Vic Magnolia.
Yeah, I got in there too late. It was like I get in and like, and we'll talk to you
What,
again
Jeff?
some other time. I'm like, okay, take care, bye bye.
He voiced a bunch of anime.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, but what I
Metal-
think he
Full
he
Metal.
nails
Full Metal
Kirk out of-
Alchemist and stuff.
But
Yeah.
he nails Kirk out of the park on
okay.
the.
Yeah, and he played Kirk on the Star Trek
Continues.
Continues. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think he, like I said, he knocks it out of the
Oh, yeah.
park.
Totally. Anybody watching Dexter?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I am.
Yeah.
Both Steven and I are like, okay, we'll be back later.
So
I mean, this isn't a spoiler, but
No.
because I mean, there's flashbacks and stuff. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
remembers back when he was the Bay Harbor butcher in Miami. It was really cool just seeing the green shirt again.
Yep.
Briefly.
His kill shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, the green shirt with the gloves, the cargo pants, and the boots.
And
I was like,
cleaned up. He like de-aged himself.
I'm
Holy
still honestly like, Dexter was a really good show up until like the 4th season, and
Yeah.
I'll even give the season with Colin Hanks and Eddie Jimmy Olmos. That's Edward James Olmos to the rest of you. We're tight. He allows me to call him that. So Eddie, Jimmy, and Colin were in I think 5 or something like that. But
Yeah.
like that actually was a pretty decent season. But it came after the John Lithgow season, so people just kind of overlooked it. But I think it's very underrated. But yeah, the one thing that really kind of chapped my ass about him being on Dexter for so long was that because of Dexter, because I had only seen him in 6 Feet Under on HBO previously, which he's also excellent. And it's a very good drama and has one of the best series finales I've ever seen. And I still to this day think that he would have been perfect, absolutely perfect to play Matt Murdock / Daredevil.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I can't be the only one that's looked at him and thought that. I mean, he has the look, and honestly, I think he can do the sardonic, sarcastic humor portion Matt Murdock too, without coming off as like campy or goofy, because that is a very important part of the character. He's not a wiseacre like Spider-Man, for instance. It's very dry.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the show Dexter New Blood, I started off watching it thinking like, why? Like I just okay. I mean, I get it, sure, moolah, but like, come on, guys. And quite frankly, this has like washed a lot of the awful taste of the end of the original series out of my mouth. And that's saying something because that shit lingered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to I like it sucks cuz we don't want to say anything particular that happens in the show.
No. And we're getting up to the we still don't know if it's going to be a series or season finale.
Yeah.
I hope they continue it,
Let's see how the finale goes, you know what I mean? Cuz it could really hinge upon that. I think. Well, no, I mean like the feeling to have it continue, if they come to a good resolution, for the most part at the end of what this finale coming up, however you want to label it, then if they don't continue on with it, but it was a satisfactory way to just like end that story, then good on them. They cracked the code. It took several years, but they finally gave Dexter a more fitting, finale. But if it gets to the point where it makes sense to continue on with it, and they have a good story fleshed out already, and they're not just flying by the seat of their pants, then by all means, throw a couple more seasons out there and like let it, rest peacefully instead of people shaking their fists at the fucking sky after watching the finale of the original. That shit was so stupid.
I agree. It was. I hope they do continue it because this season has been awesome.
Yeah.
It really seems like Dexter back in his prime, and it's just well, not really his prime, but
But back when the show itself was in its prime.
Exactly. But something that makes me think that maybe either he won't continue or they won't continue to show is that there's talk of it maybe a 6 Feet Under reboot.
Really?
Or a continuation.
Now that one I definitely have a problem with, just because I literally just said like it has one of the best.
Oh, yeah. They tied everything up. Yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful. And the thing is, I remember watching it. My wife had seen it before me, and she's the one that said like, "Oh, you need to see this show." Like when we really first started dating.
Yeah.
And I got hooked. And when we got to the last episode, I was like, "Holy shit!" And she was like, "Yeah, I know, right?" I was like, "Damn, like they did it. They really pulled that off." And like, you're never going to see a finale like that again. And here I am in 2022, and I have seen 2 different fucking shows essentially rip that fucking series finale off. One very blatantly, and it sucks because it's a show that's very close to my heart, but it was very much, they had to have been fans of 6 Feet Under in the writer's room. I'll put it that way.
Name and shame.
Parks and Recreation.
Oh, okay.
The last episode, Leslie Knope touches every single person like at some point, and as soon as she touches them, it flashes forward to the future, and you see what the future is going to be like for that person. And I was just like, I remember watching, I was like, what the fuck? And then the show New Girl, they took part of that and they pushed it forward by 3 years, exactly like Parks and Recreation did. They jumped in time. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Parks and Rec was the showrunner and executive producer was Michael Schur, and the the executive producer of New Girl is J.J. Philbin, the daughter of Regis Philbin, and they're married. Michael Schur and J.J. Philbin. I don't think it's a coincidence that their 2 big shows on around the same time had a very similar way that they ended.
I just wanted to break in here real quick. So we do have a new sponsor, Steven. I didn't forget. And
15 minutes late.
I know. But this is mainly I don't need to get into it. Anyway, we're talking about the best of 2021. While I play the ad, definitely put in the comments what we're going to be talking about: the best movies, TV shows, and video games of 2021. And we want to know what your favorites are. Somebody already said Spider-Man, and I forgot what it was. I'll bring it up. But anyway, Silk City hot sauce. They're for our viewers and listeners. They have a special promo for you. If you place an order with the code DORK, you're going to get 20% off your order and a free bottle of hot sauce. But check it out.
Greetings, Spice fans. Silk City Hot Sauce is now sponsoring the Dorkening Podcast Network. Our craft sauces are made in Vermont in small, high-quality batches using locally sourced, farm-grown ingredients. Silk City Hot Sauce comes in a variety of heat strengths and killer flavors like Jezebel, Erotic Fever, Mango Madness, and Good Morning Jonestown. And don't forget our newest creation, Hot Syrup. Make no mistake, Spice fans, this is the queen of sweet heat. There's new and unique flavors coming out all the time. Best of all, right now, listeners of the Dorkening Podcast Network can go to silkcityhotsauce.com and use coupon code DORK. Not only will you get 20% off your order, we'll also throw in a free bottle of hot sauce. That's silkcityhotsauce.com. Coupon code DORK.
Can't beat that. 20% off and a free bottle of hot sauce.
And it's made right here in Vermont.
There you go.
I will say, once we got the announcement for that, I immediately ordered some hot sauce. So
Nice. Erotic Fever. That's the token dead flavor.
Oh, I was like, okay.
Syrup.
This show's getting weirder and weirder.
Hot sauce syrup. That sounds awesome.
Hot sauce syrup?
Yeah, that's what they said in the ad.
So basically, some of these hot sauces, they're one of them is a cross between hot sauce and maple syrup. And there's some hotter sauces, and they have like some blends, like hot sauce, maple syrup, honey, and all that stuff. So definitely check out the website. There's some different various types of blends and sauces. Me and my co-host ordered a 6-pack, and we're gonna try them out on one of the episodes of our show. So
You're gonna drink an entire bottle each?
No.
What date is that? I need to mark it on my calendar.
We're gonna do like a hot sauce challenge type of thing. So
that's cool, man. I dig it.
So I think we should tackle best movies of 2021, and if you know of any stinkers, we should. Facebook user says he's at a lot of local cons. Yeah.
Yes, I am. Thanks for noticing.
That was Jeff.
That was Jeff. So yeah, best movies of 2021. I know this was a light year, but I was going through the list, and there was quite a few really, really amazing movies that came out
at the tail end of the year. But yeah,
no, even the beginning.
I can't stress enough for best of 2021. This is like my choices. They're my personal picks. Obviously, like I'm not saying that my pick is better than anybody else's. It's just what I thought was good and what you guys will think is good. So anybody out there who's ready to get their panties in a twist, just fucking breathe, okay?
Yeah.
What do you mean you didn't like my movie?
Unless we talk specific shit about the thing you love, because then you're clearly wrong.
So are we doing top 3, top 2, top 1? What are we doing?
I thought top 3 would be good, no?
Yeah, we could do top 3, maybe with some honorable mentions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Otherwise, we'll be here until fucking Thursday. So
I'll go first. My number 3, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Okay, yeah. Have we all seen Ghostbusters Afterlife yet? Yes. Bing, bang, boom. RW, no.
RW, you haven't.
You should get on that, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that limits what I can say considerably.
Yeah, here.
All right. Yeah.
Moving on.
I mean, I can't really say too much about it because
that's awesome. And number 2.
I don't want to ruin it. Like, listen. I mean, I've said previously, like, I really enjoyed that movie. I really did. And for me, it was almost perfect. And that I'm not trying to be nitpicky about it. Those of us who have seen it, and I've explained what it was that kind of just pulled me out. you guys have all completely understood, and you're like, oh, yep, no, I see your point. And that it's a technicality thing, because for me, anything that pulls you out of the movie itself, you are no longer engrossed in what the story is, and you are
Yeah.
thinking about the things outside of it. That means it's not doing its job as a story, because you were supposed to be there and present. And this one particular thing happened, and it immediately pulled me out. And if it had been the end altogether, sure, the end of this thing, great. But it wasn't. And that's when I was sitting there in the theater, I was like, what the fuck? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
I found it very puzzling.
So without spoiling it, and shame on you for not watching it, RW.
Yeah.
And that's what we do here at the Dorkening. We just
Yeah.
shame everybody that hasn't seen the shit we
No,
see.
and again, I just haven't gotten around to it. But the main reason is sort of like back to the Betty White thing. Betty White passes away. God rest her soul. Like I say, she was incredible. But the whole world came apart. It's like, and the same thing with Afterlife and No Way Home. Like every single person is like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And now I'm like, I don't want to see this movie because everybody's too, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So
RW, you should
wait like 5 years until all the God stuff dies.
Honest to God, dude, you should really just message me, because I will flat out tell you, like I don't pull punches, man. And for real, I liked Spider-Man a lot, but I wasn't like fucking like creaming my jeans over it. It was a good movie, but I wasn't out there screaming its praises from the top of the mountain.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of what did it for me. It's like, I want to see a movie, but then everybody's like, like, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna. You ruined it for me by being so excited.
Fuck everybody else, dude. Fuck everybody else. If you want to see it and hope you like it, then fucking do that, dude. Seriously.
It is out on VOD now, so if you want to check it out.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm gonna check it out. I just haven't. Again, I was gonna watch it the other day, and I wasn't my best, and I'm not exactly my best right now. But I hope to get it this weekend. Tracy and I hopefully will sit down and watch that and a couple other things or whatever. But yeah. So no, I've not watched it.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah, I will.
I look forward to talking about it with you.
And I mean, I'll get there with Boba Fett. We watch stuff on Netflix, like, these killer things, those, whatever those documentaries, on like this guy killed this girl, but he really didn't kill this girl. Someone else killed that girl. And we watch those to figure out how they figured it all out. So when we start a series like that, we try to finish it, and then we don't have time to watch a movie and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah.
Speaking of Netflix, just to pull us out of the discussion real quick, Brandon, fuck you.
What? I mean, I get it. What specifically? Because of Ghostbusters?
No. We got hooked on Love.
Oh, you're welcome, dude.
We binged the whole thing.
It's so fucking good, man.
Yeah. Is it coming back?
No.
No, that's like, okay.
Yeah, which is one of the things I love about it.
Yeah, but what about, I mean, she cheated on him and that never bubbled up. I mean, it's like, but anyway, yeah, it really good. But back to
life, man. Such is life.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys liked it, though. That's awesome.
We really did. And we also binged Cobra Kai, the new season as well.
Yes, we did that.
That's so much cheese to be cheese, but if you love cheese, it's cheese. Who would like to go next for number 3?
I will.
Okay.
Ghostbusters Afterlife is my honorable mention, but my number 3 is the documentary, but from HBO Max. It was one of the first documentaries that came out this year on HBO Max. Woodstock 99, Peace, Music, and Rage. Basically, for those of you who don't know or was around at that time, it basically chronicles what happened in Troy, New York in Woodstock 99, and how disastrous the event was. And the event, they talk with the event organizers, they talk about some of the people that were there. It was a clusterfuck. to say the least. It's really, really good.
I'm glad I didn't go then.
But
Wow.
it's definitely worth checking out if you're interested in documentaries. But it's something worth checking out. The HBO Max puts out bangers of documentaries, by the
They
way.
do. They do.
The Heaven's Gate Cult of Cults. If that came out this year, I would have put it on the list, but it came out last year. The 4 Hours at the Capitol. Then again, this is a politics-free show, so I'm not going to mention it.
Stephen, we only wanted your number 3.
I'm just, Jesus fucking Christ, fuck you. All right, who's
That's
next?
right, Steve.
Brandon is.
Okay, I get Brandon is. So let me hold on. I have it on a notebook over here, and I have to keep turning my head away from the microphone. All right. So my number 3 for 2021, my number 3 movie is the movie Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It was made by the same people who did John Wick, and it was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. And they sort of fixed one of the issues, I guess you could say, with what I see as issues with the John Wick movies. They certainly gave you, the audience member, the impression that there may be more stories to tell within that world. Whereas John Wick, honestly, like, my feeling is I don't like the sequels very much at all. I like 3 more than 2, but that's not really saying. Yeah, that's not saying much. That's like saying I prefer diarrhea over dysentery. So I honestly, like, I love the first movie. I absolutely adored it, and I think that if they had just left it where it was right there, it would just I mean, it would be straight up like instant classic, you know? And instead they went out and franchised it and just started piling world building on world building and getting from point A to point B, and that was the whole like experience of 2 and 3, and now we're getting a 4th fucking movie. Like, I'm good with that. Like, it was enough for me to see the revenge tale of, like, you know, my wife died of cancer and gave me that puppy. You killed my puppy. And all right, yeah, fucking kill those dudes. I get it, bro.
Well,
I
now the movie's delayed a year, and we're getting a TV show starring Mel Gibson to hold us over. So
thank God.
Like, it's called The Continental.
Jesus,
I
Mary.
thought we already had
Joseph.
that show.
No, we didn't. It's coming out this year.
I'm so fucking tired of John Wick shit. Sorry. That regardless of that, Nobody is fucking excellent. It's basically John Wick, but if his wife hadn't died and they had started a family, and he and his wife decided to never tell their 2 kids that he used to be a full-blown, you know, merc badass. It's so fucking good, and Bob Odenkirk, like, he delivers on all fronts in this movie. He really does. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It was right out the gate. Like, I thought it would, like I said, I thought it'd be okay, but I absolutely, like, fell in love with that flick. So that's my number 3.
The final battle alone is price of admission worthy.
The whole fucking thing is, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
Pat
I mean,
Pat
it's
Benatar
good.
getting blasted in a fucking badass scene. That I'm there for it, dude. Yes. Fucking yes. I lost my shit the second I heard that song played earlier in the movie. I was like, oh, I bet that's gonna pop up later, and it sure fucking did. And I still was like, nice. Like, I was about it. So yeah, just check it out. Check out Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk, if you get the chance. My number 3 pick for 2021 best movies.
Cool beans. RW.
I just noticed that both Leo and Power for Brandon have Superman shirts on. So did you guys coordinate that, or?
Yeah.
No, we just have excellent taste.
I'm like, I've got the random shirt on. Okay. So, you know, anybody watching, or the 3 of you guys know, I have like wicked ADHD and, you know, all kinds of other stuff. So I don't really think I have a 3 list. So when you guys mention stuff, I'll be like, oh yeah, I saw that. It was good. So I don't really have a number 1, a 2, or a 3, but the thing I watched the most recent, which I believe was from this year. And again, I'm not saying this is my number 3 or anything, but I watched Don't Look Up and I thought that was good.
Yeah, I've heard it's excellent. I just haven't come across it yet.
What, you haven't watched it? But what's funny is I never, and I mean I mean this in not a mean way. There's just some actors for some reason I never cared about, and Will Ferrell's one of them, and Leonardo DiCaprio. I never really thought. I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, he was okay in Titanic, but when I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm like, wow, that's a different side of Leonardo DiCaprio I've never seen. I like this guy. Like, this guy is solid. And when I saw Don't Look Up, I felt the same way. I'm like, okay, now this Leonardo DiCaprio I can stand behind, and wow, you've got it. But I guess I just didn't get into the whole way back in the, What's Eating Gilbert Grape kind of career that he had, Silver Spoons or whatever.
Growing Pains.
Growing Pains, Silver Spoons, whatever. Yeah, so
Silver Spoons was Ricky Schroeder.
no, but I think didn't he guest star on one Silver Spoons?
Silver Spoons, it was Justin what the fuck's his name? He's in
okay, so I always thought I knew, again, my memory, my ADHD. I thought Leonardo was on one episode of Silver Spoons. Maybe it was Growing Pains then.
Yeah, he was on the tail end of Growing Pains. He was actually a regular. But Silver Spoons was.
He was the
No, I know Silver Spoons is Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah,
I just thought Leonardo was on one episode as his best friend.
His best friend is actually a really large actor right now.
He gained a lot of weight.
No. He plays he's in Ozark. Who the fuck?
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Gotcha.
Yes. Jason Bateman was Ricky Schroeder.
He was also a Teen Wolf too.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman. Yeah. But so anyways, I don't have a 1, 2, or 3. So again, I'm
no worries.
It's like we're on Sesame Street, and it's like one of these things is not like the others, but 3 of these things are kind of the same. So I'm not, one of these things just doesn't belong here kind of guy. But so I really enjoyed Don't Look Up.
Don't sell yourself short. You belong here, RW.
Yeah, dude, I have severe ADHD too. I get it. That's I hyper focus on this stuff. That's why it seems like I'm prepared, but my hyper focus kicks in like an hour, 2 hours before this show, and I do everything then.
Yeah.
Before we get to Leo's number 2, I want to piggyback off RW. I really loved Don't Look Up. It's not on my list, but I just want to praise it real quick. It was really, really good. Basic takeaway I got from it is, if we're so hyper focused on one crisis and we see an end of the world disaster in our peripheral vision, we're not going to see it coming. And that's my biggest takeaway from this. Is it's really, really good. And Adam McKay, whatever he does, he can put Christian Bale in a fat suit and make him controversial vice president in Vice, which is another great film.
Christian Bale doesn't wear a fat suit.
Yeah, he gained that weight.
Sorry.
Dude has fucking gout like nobody's business now.
Well, anyway,
oh, he does?
I believe both he and Jared Leto developed gout from gaining weight and losing it rapidly for several projects. Yeah,
I just read an article about like all the weight he's like gained and lost throughout the years. It's absolutely friggin' insane. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Stephen, but I heard it's very depressing.
It's good. I'm just saying, we're checking out. Now you're ready to Leo.
Yeah, it's on my list for sure.
But it's absolutely right, Steve. In any situation, they don't want you to see this thing going over here. They like magicians do it. They're like, I'm gonna do something here so you're not watching over here, and that's where I get you or whatever. And it's very true. I believe that since the dawn of time, people have tried to distract us from something else that's going on with something else. So yeah, I really agree with what you say.
Yeah, that makes me think of like Disclosure and stuff like that. That's like
the Michael Douglas movie.
No. Disclosure about aliens. Yeah, because the FBI, not the FBI,
I
the
was
CIA,
thinking about the Michael Douglas movie too.
the CIA released those videos, and apparently there's another big news item they're going to be releasing shortly too. But anyway, it's no longer crazy people talking about it. So my number 2 is actually nobody.
Ha!
Yeah. Since we already discussed that, I'm gonna do. I'll throw in one of my bonus ones. Free Guy.
Oh, yes.
Hey,
Yeah. So it's not my number 2, but it was. It's an honorable mention.
Yeah, I'll
I
go
can
with
dig
that.
it.
I thought that was a good movie. Again, since I don't have really a top 3, I really enjoyed that. But again, I think Ryan Reynolds is definitely one of those bankable stars. Although he has not seen my Mint Mobile commercial that I made that's on YouTube yet, I can't hold that against him.
I mean, I agree. That movie was a lot of fun, and I actually contemplated putting that on my list. It's not on my list. I had a feeling it was going to show up on somebody else's. That's why I didn't. It's also why I didn't bother trying to say anything about Ghostbusters in my list because I knew it was going to pop up. But yeah, I thought Free Guy was a really good concept for making like a video game movie without basing it on an actual video game.
Yeah.
Getting the feel for what gaming is for the most part.
And it had a lot of Easter eggs for video game people in there.
Yeah. I'll put it this way: like it was far more entertaining and cohesive, I think, as a video game styled movie than something like Spielberg's Ready Player One.
Yep.
You know, I saw something recently. I think it was maybe it was Solar Opposites, the holiday special, I think. And they mentioned like the fact, and I'm sorry, Ready Player One's been out for a couple of years now, guys. So if you haven't seen it, that's on you, not me.
I haven't seen it.
But you haven't seen it?
No, but spoil it. It's okay.
All right. So
No, spoil it.
a big part of it in there is the fact that the guy who created the game was his favorite movie was The Shining, and they do a whole sequence in the Overlook Hotel. Like it is recreated like friggin' panel for panel, tile for tile, and it's great. The small dog is barking.
That's a wasted spoiler on me anyway because I've never seen Shining.
Okay, well, you would likely get some of the visuals at any rate. Like you would probably recognize the carpet and shit. But the thing is, like they straight up said they're like, so wait, they took a better movie and just put it in the middle of their movie. Like that's essentially what they did. Free Guy, it was a good movie all the way through. And I'm very happy for Ryan Reynolds to have that happen because I do think he's a very talented actor, but I also think he's been very pigeonholed in the things he's been able to do. I think one of the best examples I can think of insofar as like his raw talent, not Ryan Reynolds being like the smarmy guy or Ryan Reynolds with his shirt off in a movie, but the movie Buried, that movie fucking shook me to my core. Like I still every once in a while, like I still like get shudders just thinking about it. That movie is Ryan Reynolds in a fucking box buried like 10 feet underground for the entire movie.
So it's like Tom Hanks in Castaway. It's like, well, it's actually not even. I mean, Tom
It's
was
so
on the island by himself,
claustrophobic.
but it's like just Ryan Reynolds
Yeah.
for an hour and a half, 2 hours in a box.
Yeah, he's working as a subcontractor in the Middle East. One of the companies that went over there to like rebuild, and he got nabbed by a bunch of local folks. And because he was white and American, they were like, "Oh, he has to be rich." So they shoved him in like a makeshift coffin, buried him underground with a cell phone that has like 25% battery life left, and it's all in like Farsi. It's not in English or anything, so he can't understand what the screen says. And he tries calling different people to try to have them find him to get him out. And the end is such a fucking gut punch. Like it is fucking brutal. And by the time my wife and I finished watching it, we got it on DVD from Netflix. That's how long ago it came out. And when we got to the end of it, I was like, I am so glad I saw that movie. And I actually do not ever need to see that movie again.
Yeah.
And I still own it. but
But
I haven't felt the need to rewatch it because it sticks with you.
And then
Like,
there's
he
that
was
other one where
excellent.
he's like the killer or whatever.
Oh, the voices. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
really
yeah,
good in that.
that
I
was
was
pretty
looking
good,
forward
too.
to that for a long time.
Yeah.
That's the one too that convinced me that Gemma Arterton, she is really talented too. I was very pleasantly surprised by her in that movie. But yeah, those are a couple really good good examples of how good an actor Ryan Reynolds is before getting into something like that's obviously being played before a wider audience like Free Guy, where they're trying to get butts into the seats.
Yeah.
I really just hope that we are able to get more substantive stuff from him, because I saw Free Guy and I loved it, and then I saw that fucking movie on Netflix that he did,
Red Notice.
Red Notice, and I was like,
Yeah.
come on, dude. Like, you just did Free Guy. What the fuck is this shit? Because I did not enjoy that movie. It was
Who didn't?
So
not.
two things. One, Leo, you said you've never seen The Shining.
Never seen The Shining.
And number two, I freaking love Easter eggs. Like, my favorite one is probably the Cadbury egg, which has that like cream.
I saw that coming from a mile away.
Okay, so we were on number 2. Who's next?
Steve.
Poor Steve.
Steven, what's your number 2?
This came out in September. A movie called *Malignant*.
I've heard
So
good things about it. I've heard very good things about it.
yeah, very good things about it. Actually, it's
Is that the one with that's the prequel to 101 Dalmatians, right?
No, that's Cruella.
no.
They're very close,
wow.
though. So close,
way
Leo.
we're trying to find a way to round me up, and it's not working.
Sounds like it is, though, bud.
Malignant is directed by James Wan, who directed the first 2 Saw movies, and he directed.
Oh, Aquaman.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Fuck that.
What? That was a good movie. I
Yeah, it
enjoyed
was.
Yeah,
Aquaman was
but
awesome.
that. I thought it was going to be terrible, and it wasn't.
yeah, and then we found out Amber Heard's dark past. Hi-oh.
Yeah,
yeah,
the two of them are
anyway.
assholes.
*Malignant* is about this girl who has this issue, and we find out what the issue is later on in the movie, and it's just the practical effects. And of the past 10 years, movies have been using CGI, and this movie goes back to the 80s with practical effects. Thank fucking Christ. It's a horror movie that uses practical effects.
Nice.
What year is it?
2021.
2022.
No one got the reference. Who the
Twin
fuck are these
Peaks?
people?
I don't
Yeah.
know. Is that the reference you were making?
I was making a Robin Williams reference.
Oh.
Ah.
Jumanji. What
Oh,
year
okay.
is it?
Sorry. I mean, that was literally the last line of the Twin Peaks: The Return on Showtime, which when it got to it, I was like, mwah, great job, David Lynch. Like,
Anyway,
Also,
main character looks around and he goes, "What year is this?" And I was like, "Oh, oh, what a commentary on reboot culture. I love it."
well, that was my
and also a
favorite.
Back to the Future reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, who's next? Brandon.
Me, this guy.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Spider-Man: No Way Home. And it's a movie that I honestly I expected to like, and I did. I'm not like head over heels for it. I'm just looking at 2021. And it's certainly a movie I anticipated. And I walked out of the theater pretty satisfied with what I saw. There's definitely, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There's plot holes like left and right in that flick. But that does not take away from the fact that I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I appreciate the amount of work that went into pulling it all together. And not only that, it left me very, I don't want to say excited, but very interested to see what they're going to do moving forward with the already announced like new trilogy of Spider-Man movies that Tom Holland is going to be in. Because I'm without giving a spoiler, there's something that happens at the very end of the movie if you've seen it. Very end. I mean, like stinger stuff, guys. Like after the credits. And it makes me hopeful that they are going to do a slow burn
Yeah.
with that story. And my wife made
Correct
a
this time.
yes, the right way. Yeah, and
Right.
my wife made a very good point about the state of Peter's alter ego Spider-Man, particularly what he uses to protect his identity by the end of the movie. Like what he physically uses, not any sort of trickery or anything like that. And she made a very good point that certain things needed to be gotten rid of regardless if that's what they're planning to do, because it needs to be a big deal when Peter comes across that thing, because he'll be like, oh, this is great. And if he had the other stuff, he'd be like, I don't fucking need that. I have this, you know?
Yeah.
And I that hadn't even occurred to me. That was all Darren. I was like, shit.
Yeah, that's I
Yeah.
get that. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
she said it, and I was like, "Oh man, that's like a really solid point. Holy shit!" Like,
Mhm.
because I was sticking with like, oh, it makes sense he would have to because like everything that went down, the blah 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 wouldn't be able to blah blah blah.
Well,
And she broke it down more like, yeah, within the story, sure, but like moving forward, if they're gonna do the thing that you are hoping they do, doesn't it make sense that he would this, that, and the other thing? Because when he gets that, it would like, be awesome for him. I'm like, yes, I'm so glad I married you. But yeah, so I mean, it didn't. I will say this: it was really nice watching like a Sony Marvel joint venture there that didn't just feel like it was being referential to all the other MCU stuff for the sake of including it, and also didn't feel like it was just one more episode of a thing to get through so we could get to the next thing. That is something that's starting to happen with a lot of the MCU movies, where they're so concerned about setting up what you're going to see later on that it kind of pulls you out from what it is you're seeing currently. And I did not get that sense from this movie, which was refreshing. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't go to the theater a lot. I used to work in the theater back in the 90s, so I don't like going there anymore because people are obnoxious and kicking my seat and talking and stuff. So it's best that I don't go to the theater. So I watch a lot of stuff, not stiff, stuff on streaming, whether it be Netflix, Hulu, Pluther, or wherever. So sometimes I'm late to the party. So I might watch something tomorrow that looks new to me, but it's been out for 5 years. And in that case, recently watched Enola Holmes with Millie Bobby Brown, but it's from 2020, but thoroughly enjoyed that. But as far as, like I say, this year, I did see Free Guy and Red Notice, and I enjoyed Red Notice, mainly because of Ryan Reynolds. I can take or leave The Rock, but I thought it was a fun movie. And like I say, whatever the other movie was that I said I saw, because I've already ADHD'd that one out. So Red Notice, Free Guy, and whatever else the other one was that somebody mentioned.
Enola Holmes is a great pick because you saw it this year. It's new to you. So yeah. So
I dig it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was my number one. And I think he did a great job covering that. Incredible movie. The only thing I'm going to say is, without spoiling it, I think it opens itself up to more movies than what we know planned.
Yep.
With I'm not going to say anything else.
Yeah, they're building a solid foundation of brick for certain characters.
Yes.
Yep.
Can't stress the brick building enough. Bricks. And bricks.
Lego.
Yeah. Bricks. Bricks and justice. Like good lawyers and stuff. And people just looking out for Peter. and taking care of business.
Oh,
You know.
no, I didn't mean that.
Oh, really? Because it sounded like you were alluding to certain things.
So a continuation of something that should have been continued previously.
Oh, yes, Cuban B. And I agree because I actually am like one of the few people I know who was really fucking bummed out when they didn't do anything past. And especially because I felt that a particular performer was absolutely excellent in a particular role.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a fucking shame because I actually was not a humongous fan of the pick for the first go round. And this particular guy, I felt really encompassed certain things, both physically and personality wise, for a particular character.
Yep.
And if there is anything that comes of any of the stuff that we saw that was seeded in Spider-Man No Way Home, that's great. I do think it's a pipe dream though. Like I think the likelihood of it happening is slim to none. People shouldn't get their hopes up too much, I think, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be hopeful, because
it would be extremely cool if it happens.
yeah.
And we totally need to have a spoiler filled episode talking about
Yes, for the love of fucking Christ, please.
Yes. Okay, next week, spoiler filled Spider-Man.
RW, you got homework, pal.
Yeah, you got 1 week, RW. Either that or you have to skip a week.
Wow.
You got one. So basically, Steven's like, you got 1 week or 2
Or
weeks.
don't bother showing up.
Or 2 weeks, because that's when we'll see you.
Yeah, because I have thoughts. I have thoughts that I need to get out.
I have a thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's definitely things that I picked up on, like the two characters in general, when how they appeared really spoke to how the public sees them.
I am curious. I'm curious about what you mean. How they appeared.
Yep.
Yeah. Hold on. Just say it again. Just
Okay. Two characters.
Mm-hmm.
How they appeared.
Yep.
Is exactly how the public sees them.
Even Steven's got it.
Brandon? One of them was dressed a certain way, and that's how they are seen portraying that character. The other person was first entered the scene dressed how people not foresee, but how people perceive. One person is the epitome of that particular character, so he's dressed like it. The other one is the essential character, and he's dressed like it.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And we'll just leave it there because we can't expand upon it right now.
No, we can't.
Well,
okay.
I'll try to get to Oregon. Go to the Blockbuster. Rent the No Way Home. Come back to Vermont, watch it, and then go back to Oregon and drop that off.
Okay. I'm sure there's a way for you to see it, RW.
I know.
I am certain of it.
Okay. So since that was my number one, I'm just going to give one of my freebies. You know what? I'll hang it after because I don't want to take one of yours, Brandon.
Oh, okay.
Because I think one of my honorable mentions is going to be yours.
I don't know. You might be. Well, maybe. I have like 2 honorable mentions, and one of them I definitely think you are not going to fucking agree with.
Okay. So yeah, my number one. Steven, your number one.
Dune.
Okay.
So just the cinematography alone was gorgeous. The fact that they were more faithful to the book, and this is my co-host talking, because he's more of a Dune aficionado than I am, and we did a whole episode comparing this to the book, to the 84, to the TV show, they did so much in here in this movie than they did to the 84 film. They did so much in this one to the TV show. The only thing that they dropped the ball on was development on 2 or 3 characters. But what they're doing with this is, obviously in the beginning you saw Dune Chapter 1. Obviously they're going to go the Stephen King It route, the one that came out a few years ago. They're going to do Dune Chapter 2, Chapter 3. So they're going to follow the books, which is great. But you cannot take away the fact of Denis Villeneuve and his cinematography. Arrival, Blade Runner 2049. His sweeping visuals, his cinematography, everything, landscapes. The only thing I regret not doing with this film is seeing it in IMAX. And damn it, I wanted to see it in IMAX. Just how goddamn beautiful this film was. But that's why I have a 4K TV, because I saw it through the 4K TV and it was still gorgeous.
Oh, there you go.
Well, maybe they'll release an IMAX version of Dune to watch without,
I'm not
just-
putting up
without
an
the black
IMAX.
bars. What's that?
I'm not putting up a fucking IMAX screen in here. I don't have
No. So watching an IMAX scaled movie is just without the black bars, top and bottom. Takes up the full screen. Take a look at like the IMAX movies for Disney Plus.
Okay.
It just gives you more of the picture.
But that's my number one.
Nice.
It's a little different because you guys put Spider-Man No Way Home up there.
Well,
And,
it's not that different because I had it as one of my extras.
yeah.
It was
It's
incredible movie.
yeah. It's
I just
it's one of
wanted to be a little
mine.
different from everyone else. That's all. Because I would have put Spider-Man No Way Home up at the top, but I wanted to be a little variety. So
Nothing wrong with that, dude. You do you. That's what this is about, you know?
Brandon.
My number one for 2021 is Psycho Gorman.
okay.
I was nowhere close.
Not at all. Not at all. That was my number one movie for 2021.
Wow.
I was so pleasantly surprised by that flick. It was sold to me by my good friend Alex DiVincenzo from brocarfan.com and also a filmmaker himself. I had just in the past year, like before that, when me and my buddies get together on our birthdays, we go over to my friend's house. They have a home theater. That's where I actually saw The Matrix Resurrections last year. And we get together and one of my buddies makes like dinner for everyone. And then we go, and whoever the birthday boy is, he gets to pick like a movie or two, and we just like, nerd out for the evening. And I picked like 2 years ago a movie that I had mentioned to Alex and he had never heard of or seen. And it's called The Guyver. And it was made by oh my god, what's his name? Screaming Mad George? I can't fucking remember his name. But yeah, Screaming Mad George. And it's based on an anime series or manga from Japan, and it's fucking, a teenage kid gets a biomechanized suit of armor like infused into his body, like part of his central nervous system and stuff. And it's actually like this ultimate weapon to fight these like mutants called zoonoids that like are all over the place. They can make themselves look normal, but then they can like Hulk out and turn monstrous and shit. And he has to use the bio booster armor Guyver to take him out. And they made a movie version in the 90s, and it is not the best. The concept to my like 12-year-old mind was fucking incredible. And it does, like, the suit looks good and the creature design is great. But it just wasn't executed very well. The story was like lacking. They fixed that. And as well as adding a whole bunch of ultra violence in the sequel, Guyver 2 Dark Hero, which stars oh my goodness, the guy that does the voice of Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he also David Hayter. Yeah, that's right. He also wrote the script for Watchmen, the movie directed by Zack Snyder. But yeah, the movie just it blew my mind, and Alex was like, "Oh, there's this movie that's coming out, Psycho Gorman, and like you got to see it, man. It's like this guy definitely grew up watching The Guyver as well." And I was like, "Really?" And I watched it, and I was like, "Okay, I see where the seeds of it are." And it was absolutely fucking superb. It was just like old school, lots of practical special effects. Just a badass character. The main character, Psycho Gorman, he is not a good dude. He is a bad guy through and through. But you know, I'd give it like 10 out of 10, but I have to give it like 9.9 out of 10. And that, I mean, just because of the fact that the young girl in the movie is the only thing I fucking hate about that entire movie. She is fucking terrible. And I don't know if it's the girl, like the actress, or if it's just the way the character was written. She was told to play it, but holy shit. Like I watched that movie and I was like, "Oh, so that's how child abuse starts." Cuz like I wanted to punch her in the mouth. Like it was terrible. But otherwise, I mean, I just absolutely adored that fucking movie. I far more than I ever thought possible. I mean, I bought the special edition like Blu-ray. I got the Witter Entertainment / Broke Horror Fan VHS of Psycho Gorman when it came out. Like, I dig this flick, and if you get a chance, check it out. It's fun. It's goofy. It's not to be taken too seriously. But I think while watching it, if you have any affinity for 80s and 90s movies, you will certainly enjoy yourself.
Nice. I think it's on Pluther. So
That sounds right.
yeah, if anybody wants to check that out. Nice. RW.
I just thought of one when he said 80s or whatever. 8-Bit Christmas. I thought that was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was. Steven's like, I'm going to go throw up now.
No. That's my smirk because I saw it too, and it's really, really good.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, I thought that was.
Leave the room before you assume.
I'm just picking on you because everyone else does. But yeah, I thought that was well done. So that was this year. So there you go. I guess I got kind of 3 movies in there.
There you go.
But yeah, I loved 80s, 70s nods. Again, that was my era. So I was there as it happened. So I'm really kind of attached to that time period. But yeah, and what's weird is if you watch any 80s movie, whether it's a sci-fi or a comedy or whatever, there was a certain way that they filmed movies. And then overnight, every one of those things changed. So you don't quite have that same way of filming movies that you used to. And I think that's kind of sad because I think that formula, I was trying to think of the right word, worked. And, we kind of got away from that. So when 8-Bit kind of used that formula, I'm like, okay, this is how a movie should be made. But then again, I'm a 56-year-old guy stuck in the 70s, 80s still. So to me, it's like, oh, this is the way movies should be made. So, yeah.
Right there with you. And I am kicking myself for missing that movie. It's yeah. I loved it as well. I was balling at the end, and I told you guys that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I mean,
me 3 because I couldn't believe I watched that fucking movie. I'm glad that you guys liked it, and I'm glad so many other people enjoyed it too. But I sat down. I didn't have like any preconceived notions. Nobody built it up for me. I sat there and watched it. And I was just like,
well, it was also totally different than what it was advertised as,
Well, it reminded me an awful lot of the movie Jingle All the Way, and I hate that fucking movie. Listen, I know that there's all kinds of debates about what is a Christmas movie, what isn't a Christmas movie, blah, 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 blah. But at the very least, if you're going to have a movie that's about Christmas, like I would prefer, let me put it this way. The Gift of the Magi, a short story by O. Henry, is classic. And it's about people that get gifts from one another for Christmas. But it's done in such a way where it's very heartfelt and thoughtful. And the 2 characters that deal with the issues within the short story are very mindful of one another. And they care about each other a great deal. 8-Bit Christmas is about a fucking kid that wants a Nintendo. That's it. They wedged in some heartfelt shit at the very end. But it is basically a fucking crass ass commercial for a fucking console that came out 30 fucking years ago. And like, that's great. I loved my Nintendo. I had a lot of fun on it, but it wasn't like the end all be all of my existence.
Well,
That's just my own thing. And
whole
by the
the
time
whole
I got to
mo
the end of it, I was like, the treehouse was fucking great. I wish they had actually said something about that shit before the last 6 minutes of the movie. They gave no indication of that whatsoever. You know, if they had built to that, then I'd probably feel very different. But it feels like two completely different movies by the time it ends. So I get if you feel a certain way about how it ended with present day and, you know, the father finishes telling the story, but the story itself sucked. The story he told, I did not like it. Like, as a kid, if you told me that, I'd be like, so you were an asshole because you didn't get the video game console you wanted? Cool.
Huh.
So is that what I should do to get a new iPhone? Like, I mean, that's just my own thing. You know, it just felt very, very akin to Jingle All the Way. And I've never liked that movie. Even as a kid, I did not like that movie. That's what it reminded me of. It didn't give me a real Christmas feel. It felt like commercialism played for nostalgia.
And this is what this podcast is all about.
Oh
Agree to
yeah.
disagree. Everybody has their own opinion. Like I
Well,
had these
and
people who thought The Hangover was the funniest movie of all time, and I don't find any humor in that movie at all. So like it's just the way it is. Everybody has their taste.
oh yeah,
Everybody-
no,
yeah.
and like I said, I started this off with like I honestly like I think it's great. I really do. Like I'm not being like condescending. I think it's great that you guys and so many other people like this movie. Like it's just for me personally, the feelings it was trying to elicit just it didn't work.
Right.
Well, it could be totally a generational thing as well, because they were able to nail so much of the 80s. So much of it was like spot on. And RW, I totally get what you're saying, how, you know, how it's like a kid's adventure, you know, back when we used to have movies like that.
Yeah, and
Uh,
like when they showed the rich kid with the Nintendo, you can see an RCA Selectavision player sitting next to it, and I'm like, that is cool to me that they went out and found all these things that would have been the thing that people might have had back then. And I'm like, dude, I have that exact one in storage. Like, I freaking love that shit. Like, to me, that's like, boom,
awesome.
now I'm 17 again or whatever, you know? So to
Well,
me, movies like that bring me back to a time that I wish I was still in, and I can't be there, you know?
yeah. See, for me, like the roller rink, you know, that brought back
Yeah.
so many memories. And you know, the whole thing where it ended up not even being about the Nintendo, but about the journey, you know?
Right.
It's but everybody's
The real Nintendo was the friends we made along the way.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we're running late, so we'll try to speed things up a little bit. TV, I had a ton of TV shows, but I know we're doing top three. I'm gonna do my number three for shows of 2021, Resident Alien.
That was my number 3.
Wow.
That was my number 3.
Now, is
Yeah.
there another season out yet, or is it coming
It's
soon?
coming out soon.
Yeah, like
Nice.
in
Yeah,
a
that was
week
a
or
great.
so.
That was
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk again. The first thing I ever really saw him in was actually heard him in was, you know, the robot from freaking help me out here. I'm losing my Rogue One when he's like, "Congratulations, you're being rescued," and I was like,
the
"Wow, this
first thing
guy's
you
funny."
saw him in?
And what's that?
That was the first thing you saw him in or heard him in?
Yeah, and
You
then
would
I
never-
went back and saw Tucker versus Evil or whatever, and then I watched an episode of Firefly to see him in that or whatever. But yeah, I just think the way he plays that character is pretty hilarious because everybody has to interpret being an alien a different way. Robin Williams, when he went in to audition for Mork, the guy said, "Have a seat." He sat on his head because he's like, "What would it, you know, if I'm an alien, I wouldn't sit down normally." Boom, got the role, you know. And then Jeff Bridges' Starman was kind of sort of like Alan Tudyk in a way, where he was very like, you know, not knowing what to do or whatever. So everybody has to, you know, aliens, we think of the big eyes and so on and so forth. But when you're playing a human as an alien, that just, you got to kind of come up with your own thing. So yeah, I think that's a great show. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so Steven, you're number 3.
What if?
What if? Okay, that was a good one.
Yeah, let's see
The
where it goes too, because
yeah,
this
it's obviously going into the shows or the movies because
Yeah.
yeah, we know we're getting a evil Doctor Strange.
indeed.
Yeah. RW. Or no, Brandon. Brandon's next. Oh, no, you're
No,
number
you,
3, isn't it?
you,
my
you
number
said
3 was
number
also
three.
Resident
Yeah.
Alien. So
Okay.
you know, I'll give my honorable. I'll give my
Okay.
honorable.
Yep.
WandaVision
There we go.
was my honorable mention, and the only reason why that wasn't part of the 3 proper is because it was a limited series. So it is not going past that, and I'm fine with that. But it's not really like a continuing television series. And I was trying to stick with like that. That's part of the reason why Dexter does not show up on my list at all, because I don't know what's happening with that show. It's a little iffy, and
Yeah.
I wanted to keep it to things that like at least had like 1 or 2 seasons, like we know for a fact it's going to continue. But yeah, WandaVision I thought was amazing. I grew up watching all the old sitcoms and stuff on Nick at Night. And I actually thank God for my wife that I watched it with her, because I had to stop so many episodes and explain what the reference was to. I'm like, oh, this is all like very much Bewitched and this, that, and the other thing. She actually she wasn't even like aware of Step by Step from TGIF. I don't know how. But like I was like, oh yeah, that's very much like what their 90s style house looks like is Step by Step, which was like a modern day Brady Bunch. And she was just like, I understand the word you're saying. I don't know what you mean though. I'm like, okay, that sounds like par for the course in our relationship. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, and I appreciate everything that they did with all the shows and styles and music. I do think the balls to the wall winner for that show altogether, insofar as like references and tropes and stuff, was the reveal of Agnes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when they went full black and white and did a full on like Monsters esque
Yeah.
beginning, like a sitcom start with the song that they wrote for it and everything, it was perfect, and clearly it was classic right off the bat because people lost their minds. I don't know how to feel about the fact that they're doing an Agatha Harkness show on Disney Plus. It'd be one thing if it were like one of the things that they announced that they had planned, and they were like, "Yeah, we're definitely going to do this." But this, to me, at this point, right now, feels like, oh, a lot of people responded really well to the character, so now let's just like make more story so we can just keep pumping out a show with that character. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of flies in the face of putting the story first, right? I mean, isn't that like one of the big things about any of the MCU is like they work together and plan meticulously, and they make sure it all like converges and makes sense by the end. Throwing
Yeah.
shit in willy-nilly like that, I don't think that's a good move necessarily. Like things might start to feel shoehorned.
Mhm.
We talked about that on another show where you have this cast of characters on a show and one character is a standout character on that show. So they give that character their own show, but now the dynamic of what that show was when that they were on is gone, and that character is no longer as funny or whatever as they were on the show that they were on previously.
Yeah, and that's the issue I'm like fighting with, because I love Catherine Hahn. I absolutely love her. Like she's great in everything. But like I think part of why everyone really liked Agatha Harkness when she finally like was revealed was because of the fact that it was such a short amount of time that you spent with the character. If you start to make that character the center and focal point of the story you're telling, you may find it's not quite as engrossing or interesting as you might have assumed when that character was minimalized in their first appearances. You know,
Exactly.
granted, I know it works for some things. Like, you brought up Mork and Mindy. I mean, that was a fucking guest shot on Happy Days, and it got spun off into a show that people loved. It made Robin Williams a fucking household name.
Yeah.
But I do think that cases like that are few and far between, and I think with this, Disney could pull it off, or they may be playing with fire. I mean, we'll find out. I'm hesitant. That's all. I'm hesitant.
I don't think I finished WandaVision. I think when it first came on, we watched like the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then we were watching it, every whatever time the boys were here, Tracy's kids were here, and then we stopped. So I got to actually try to finish that one because I don't think I finished watching it.
I think you would very much enjoy the.
Oh no, I enjoyed the 4 or 5 that I saw, and
so you're like more than halfway there.
Yeah, so I mean, and I love the openings, how it's like, this is the Bewitched, this is I Love Lucy, this is that, this is this, or whatever, and step by step, that's the one with
Patrick Duffy and Suzanne Summers.
And then there's that goofy kid who I liked him more than any character, but then I heard that he wasn't
Cody.
Such a nice guy in real life, which was
he's a piece of shit. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
But I loved his character. It's like the only reason I watched the show. And then
the girl that played the tomboy on that show, she like directs a bunch of like television and stuff now.
Nice.
Yeah, I found that out recently. I was like very pleasantly surprised by it. I'm like, oh, that's so cool when you see kids like grow up and actually say like, oh, I want to be the person like behind the camera. Fuck that noise, you know.
See, I'm still waiting for that day, but. I know someday, someday it'll happen.
We're rooting for you, RW. What was your number 3, RW?
I don't. Again, with the ADD, and I'm not trying to be a cop out. I don't like. I don't remember what I watch. And again, Tracy and I usually watch a lot of like on Netflix. There's the I Am a Killer, or the Torso Killer, or the This Killer, or whatever. And we find it just fascinating. And I'm like, of all the things we could be doing right now, we're watching stuff about some guy who killed somebody, and she's like, I just find it fascinating. I'm like, yeah, so do I. So like, I haven't checked out the new the new Boba Fett. I mean, Mandalorian, I don't know if that was last year, but I liked that or whatever. But
yeah, the second season was, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I have Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, and we have access to Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime, but every night by the time we go to watch TV, Tracy's tired and we can watch maybe a half hour or something, and then it's like time for her to go to sleep. And but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll piggyback off your stuff, but I did watch whatever it was you just talked about, because I already lost what that was called. WandaVision.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's how bad it is. I'll sit there and I'll go, what was I saying? Who am I? Where am I? How did I get here?
Why is RW?
So maybe for the rest, I'm sure you just tune in, not tune in, but chime in when
that's all I'll
zip it up and zip it out.
I had too many on my list, but it was very tough for a number 1 and 2. And I know this is gonna be on everybody's list, but my number 2 is Ted Lasso.
Yes, I was really torn. Ted Lasso was fucking amazing, and I did watch it because of you, Leo. You had told me to check it out, and you and James actually, you just watch it, man. And I was like, I don't know, and you're like, no, seriously, like it's a good show, and I was like, how good though? I mean, it's Jason Sudeikis. And then I believe it was you that was like, no, it's a nice show. And I was like, I'm confused.
Not on my list.
I'm confused by your rhetoric, Leo. And he was like, just watch it. And I fucking did. And I was like, okay, well, I apparently need to get Apple TV now. and that actually opened the floodgates on a couple of other things that Leo also recommended. And I mean, it clinched it. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll pay this every month now. That's fine by me. Ted Lasso is so good, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it till the day I die. It's predicated upon the concept of, and this is talk about a what if. What if people were actually decent? Just people were decent to one another, and it sounds simple, but it's very powerful, and they execute it beautifully in this show. There's not a moment that is unbelievable. Everybody is so talented in this show, the entire ensemble.
And even when they're not nice, it's totally believable.
because there's usually a very good reason, but also when there's conflict, it doesn't just hang for the sake of drama. It's addressed, like adults would do, man. Like there's none of that. Like when you watch shows and somebody like gets mad at someone and the person who is the one being like, admonished, that realistically, like if they just said like, no, that what happened was this, then it would like, squash it right there. But instead, because they need to like stretch out the melodrama on shit, it's always the person who's getting the finger wagged in their face that's like, they don't say anything and then let the person walk away pissed off. It's like, oh, cool. So 41 more minutes of this. Fantastic. That does not happen in Ted Lasso. When there's a problem, it's addressed. It might piss people off in the story, but by the end of it, there's a resolution. It might not be exactly what somebody had wanted to happen within the show, but it's a resolution nonetheless. And it's not like a tidy thing where you feel like, oh, well, they solved the problem of the week. It's a continuing arc, and the choices that everyone makes affect themselves and everyone around them. It's incredible. And like I said, I'm not the biggest Jason Sudeikis fan. Like that's nothing against him personally. He just hasn't done an awful lot that's impressed me. And that was one of the reasons I didn't want to watch this at Leo's suggestion. And thankfully, like he pushed gently enough. And I gotta say, if Jason Sudeikis can continue doing more roles like this, he's gonna have a very good and steady career.
Yeah, it's certainly a feel good movie. It's certainly a movie that everybody needs to watch. Just
television show.
Yeah, television show.
You said movie.
Oh, movie. Sorry. Yeah, it's obviously it's on Apple, which I'm just shocked. The shows that they're putting out is just phenomenal. But
yeah,
it's
Apple TV is the fucking reason I had a hard time with this fucking list.
Yeah, but it's RW and Steven, if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you watch it. For the last couple of shitty years we had, this show is something that everybody needs. It's the type of show that you're going to watch and you're going to feel good about yourself, like at the end.
And not just good about yourself.
Good about the world.
Good about people.
Yep, exactly.
Good about people. That's the trickiest part about it. When I say it's believable, like it is. And that's what makes it, when you're away from the show, that's what makes it like even more enraging or sadder, is like we could be like that.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to listen to anybody else.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And that's like one of the key parts of the show is the communication between people. And believe me, it's not perfect for every character. There's serious breakdowns, but that's addressed in the show. And that's a hurdle to overcome. It's not overwrought. It's not melodramatic. There's some very realistic, raw feelings that occur throughout the entirety of the series thus far. And quite frankly, the two people that write the episodes, Brendan Hunt, who plays the assistant coach. No. He's the assistant coach.
Yep.
But also Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent, their bruiser on the football team.
Fuck off.
Yeah. Oi! Go fuck yourself. But they're the head writers for the show. And Brett Goldstein he's a British stand-up comic, and they clearly bring a lot of heart and sensibility to the humor that they're putting forth in the show. And obviously Jason Sudeikis is right there with them because he writes the show as well. And it just goes to show like the right combination of talent in front of and behind the camera can make something incredibly special that you may not have seen coming at all. I know I was certainly blindsided by it. I do recommend it to anybody. Give it a shot if you get the chance. I think that you'll be very, very pleased.
We had Apple TV. I'm not sure if we still do. We had it for a little while, and we watched. I think it was called Servant. I think that was a pretty good one about this like girl who comes to watch a baby for this family who lost their baby. Kind of a, I guess you'd call it a thriller more than anything else.
M. Night Shyamalan thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then you said, Brandon, you said You like 15 times, and that reminded me, there's that show on Netflix called You, which Tracy and I have watched, and I thought that was pretty good.
I said the a bunch too, but
Never seen that one.
I guess we didn't count that.
No, thought I have not gotten around to watch it.
How about
What is that on Hulu or?
Yes, absolutely. Find the on Hulu. It'll blow your fucking mind, dude.
Steven?
Actually, if you find it, tell me where it is too.
Would that be funny? Oh my god.
Yes.
What's your number 2?
Oh, well, you didn't specify. You just called my name. CSI Vegas. So it was a limited run series that came out on Paramount Plus this year, and it was a continuation of where it left off from season 15 a few years ago. And the less said about it, the better. If you want to know more about it, you can hear about our coverage on it on our Patreon. It was a bonus episode series that we did you can back us for $1 and you can hear it. And you want to hear more CSI, you can hear our second show, which I'll plug at the very end. But anyway, that's my number 2.
Okay. My number 1, I thought about not putting any Disney stuff on my list, but this one I had to because it's.
Do I not get a number 2?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Ted Lasso was your number 2. Okay.
No, I didn't. You did. Wonderful.
Okay. What's your number 2, Brandon?
It was actually a tie.
Oh,
It was a tie. I couldn't divide it. I tried doing pros and cons, and fuck you, Leo, because you did this to me. You fucking did it. My tie was between in both Apple Plus shows, Schmigadoon
oh, I forgot about Schmigadoon.
and Central Park.
I forgot about Central Park.
Dude, I watched both of those because of you. Like, what the fuck, Leo?
Oh my god, those are so holy shit.
They're so good. They're
Yeah,
so
they are.
good. And like I know Steve, I know you don't like musicals. I know that that's not your bag, and that sucks because both of these are musicals. But
They won't be in my viewings.
and that's fair. That's fair, man. Yeah,
You might want
everybody
to
has.
give Schmigadoon a try though, because
No.
I actually think
no.
think out of the two, he would probably like Central Park more than he likes Schmigadoon.
Oh yeah.
Central Park is it was created by Josh Gad and Lauren Bouchard, the creator of Bob's Burgers, and he worked on home movies, did Lucy Daughter of the Devil.
Olaf.
What?
Isn't Josh Gad Olaf?
Yes, he is the voice of Olaf in Frozen as well. But he was on Broadway for years in the Book of Mormon by Trey Parker, and that's actually how he got into like Frozen and other stuff like that. Well, the thing is, they created this cartoon, Central Park, and it's about a guy who is the superintendent of the grounds, and he lives in the house on the grounds at Central Park with his family. He is voiced by Leslie Odom Jr. His wife is voiced by Catherine Hahn, and then the kids in the first season are voiced by Titus Burgess from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. He was also on Broadway. He originated the stage role of Sebastian in The Little Mermaid. And the daughter was voiced originally by Kristen Bell, who, I mean, obviously she has plenty of singing and performing accolades as well. But in the second season, she stepped back because she was voicing a girl of color. And she and everyone else felt like it was better for an actress of color to voice the role, which I think was the right move. And she's voiced by Emmy Lampman. Oh, I can't remember. She's from the Umbrella Academy.
Yes.
She plays Rumor. Her boyfriend is Daveed Diggs from Hamilton and Snowpiercer and all kinds of stuff. He's one of the voices in the show as well. But the villain of the show, this little old woman, is voiced by fucking Stanley Tucci, and that dude is a riot. The songs are great. The Josh Gad is the narrator of the show. He's a busker that's always in Central Park, and he talks directly to the audience through the camera. He also has other people show up that he's worked with in the past, like Andrew Rannells, who was in the Book of Mormon with him. But it's such a great show. But Schmigadoon, very much in the vein of, like, if you are familiar with Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals, then you are gonna get like a whole lot of reference that's made throughout the entirety of the first season of Schmigadoon. It stars Keegan Michael Key and oh my god, what's her Cicely Strong from Saturday Night Live. It also has Alan Cumming in it. Oh, the teeny tiny lady. Fuck, what the hell? She was in Wicked. Um, oh my god. Guys, have anyone seen Pushing Daisies? No.
Yeah, I don't remember who was in it though.
I'm trying to think about what the fuck her name was. Kristen Chenoweth. Kristen Chenoweth. Yeah, she's like the villain in the show too.
Oh yes, yep.
She's such an asshole in it. It also has Ariana DeBose in it, who was she played the Bullet in Hamilton, and also played I can't remember the character's name, but she's in West Side Story, the new West Side Story, the role that Rita Moreno originated in the movie, the first movie. It's just a lot of fun. Obviously, the title and the premise, it's a reference to Brigadoon starring Gene Kelly. But then there's just all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's references to Carousel and not that it was Rodgers and Hammerstein, but also the Music Man, stuff like that. It's just goofy and fun, and they take the old sounds of what these songs would be, these pastiches, but then they apply like modern thinking to them. Like when the teenage vixen, the virgin vixen in town is clearly coming on to Keegan Michael Key. The whole musical sequence is hilarious and a little creepy at the same time. Like, it's so fucking good. And props to Keegan Michael Key, because he clearly is not a very strong singer. And he said, yeah, fuck it, I'm still going to be in this show. It's really good.
Yeah, the essential premise is a couple gets thrown into this town the town is a musical, and they're normal people, and they're like, what? Why is everybody singing? So
yeah, they're hiking in the woods on like a couple's retreat, trying to like work on their relationship, and all of a sudden, in the pouring rain, they get approached and they get kind of bopped by a leprechaun of all things, played by Martin Short.
Yes, yeah.
And he sings to them in rhyme and tells them like they're going to be stuck in Schmigadoon until they can find their true love. And so they think it's one another, and then they get into an argument and they kind of go their separate ways, and then like, no, we really do love each other, let's get out of here. And like, we don't know where it goes from there, because the fucking leprechaun shows up again at the very end of the season and fucking throws some shit their way. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I thought I was going to be like, all right, this is probably just a little too schmaltzy. But man, Cicely Strong and Keegan Michael Key, they do such a great job of acting like two regular people from our world who are just stuck there and realize like, we have to literally put up with this until we can get the fuck out. It's great.
So speaking of Martin Short, I thoroughly enjoyed Only Murders in the Building. So that's another, I don't know if it's a TV series or where that would fit in, but definitely enjoyed. And Steve and Martin have been friends ever since they did Three Amigos. And,
I love that.
They really, really bonded and have just had this lasting friendship. And it obviously shows with their acting together that it's just so natural because they have been friends for so long. But yeah, I was never a big fan of Selena Gomez, just because she's rich and beautiful and I'm poor and ugly. But I think she did a hell of a job in that series as well. And I can't wait there's got to be a second season coming, and I look forward to that. So yeah, I can play off the things you say and it jogs my memory or whatever. But yeah,
that's awesome. No problem with that, bro.
That was on my what the fuck is
honorable mention?
Honorable mention. Thank you. It's getting late. My number one, I was gonna keep Disney out of it, but I just couldn't, because it grabbed too much to the heartstrings. Mandalorian. Oh my god. First Baby Yoda. I love Baby Yoda, but
no shit.
Yeah.
What? You love Grogu, the child, Baby Yoda? Get out of
But
town.
the end when spoiler Luke Skywalker comes back and it's just holy shit.
Whoa,
It was
what?
so emotional.
It's been out for half.
I know, I'm
the year.
only
we're just busting chops. We're just busting chops.
Y'all should know by now.
Yeah, just so emotional, when he comes back, and yeah, it's just friggin' amazing.
I think it's better, like that reveal at the end is better when you go back after they fixed it.
Oh, they really?
They fixed
Yeah,
it.
I thought they did. I thought because they hired. Did you
So
know
they
about
aired
the,
it and then they fixed it and then they switched the
do
episode out?
Hold on. Do you know about the deep fake thing with that?
I know about I saw
thought-
the deep fake, and
I
I
thought
heard they hired him.
I thought they had hired him and fixed it, but I could be wrong about the second part. But I still think it's cool that he deep faked it and they straight up were like, "Oh, this is better than what we did," and they hired him.
Yeah, they hired him. I don't think they replaced it because
That's too bad.
they revealed that the stand-in was actually Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know why you couldn't fix it, but sure.
Yeah.
The guy literally made a better looking young Luke Skywalker with his shit at home
Yep.
than ILM did with their fucking quadrillions of dollars worth of equipment in fucking programs. Like, why wouldn't you fix it? I mean, just have that guy come in like, all right, we got all this stuff. And the guy's like, you just have like $50 for me to get the things I need. Cause
he's
I
like,
can
I'm
do
using
that.
my Samsung.
Yeah. He's like, it's just an app on my phone. I don't know. Like, I didn't even develop it. You might want to hire that guy. I don't know.
Steven, what's your number one?
So before I get into my number one, I do want to mention my honorable mention, which you and RW already mentioned, which was Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, nice.
But my number one is Squid Game.
Oh,
I haven't seen it. yet.
Same here.
So all I'm going to say is it's the Korean version of The Running Man.
The movie The Running Man?
So basically, these people are... There's people that are broke and they need money, so they have to compete in these games to win money. And there's about, I don't know, a couple hundred of them, and they have to play 6 games and they're eliminated. And once you're eliminated, you die. Yeah. And the games are brutal and vicious, but like, perfect example. Without spoiling anything, there's more to it, and you have to watch it. It's pretty good. And I will say, real quick, it's all in Korean, but you can alter the subtitles and the dubbing.
Oh no, bro! I have severe ADHD. I fucking love subtitles.
Yeah,
doesn't matter to me.
You can change the subtitles to English, and you can change the voice to English if you want.
I think it's better to do subtitles because I heard there was some issue with the
I think you get a more accurate translation.
Well, no, there was actually a story about the translation where they did the translation off of the auto translation or something where it's there's a whole story about it.
Fucking taking pointers from the dickheads at ILM.
Probably.
So let me break down the first game. The first game they do is red light, green light. So they have to go from one end of the room to another. And there's this robot that's, hiding behind a tree and saying red light, green light. And she turns her head, and if she says green light, and she says green light, she's behind her face is on the tree. But when she says red light, she turns, and if anyone moves an inch, there's her eyes are sensors, and she'll pinpoint if anyone's moving even a twitch. And there's like drones with guns, and it's tied to
murk their asses.
Yeah, pretty much. You gotta watch it. It's fucking phenomenal. I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Just real quick though, I mean, I did ask, and I just need the clarification. Are you referencing the movie The Running Man starring Schwarzenegger, or are you referencing the book that it was based on by Stephen King / Richard Bachman?
Yes.
Both.
Fair enough. Have you read the book?
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's fair enough then. Absolutely. Because dude, I know super retro, like you fucking are mired in all that like old school like dope ass shit. And Running Man is definitely a classic movie. But like if anybody has ever seen the movie Running Man with Schwarzenegger, yeah, it's a lot of fun. But if you enjoy that, you should really read the book by Stephen King. It's
No,
very
I've read
short.
the book.
No, no, not. I'm sorry. I meant like one
He's,
should,
he's
not
talking
you.
to the people.
Yeah, not
yeah.
you specifically, Steve. Like one should check it out because if one enjoys the movie, the book by Stephen King, which is actually only like a couple hundred pages long, which is very short for him, believe me. That might as well be a short story for Stephen King. And I remember reading it when I was in like 7th grade, and it blew my mind because I honest to God thought it was going to be a lot more like the movie. And by the time I finished it, I was like, this might be one of my favorite like stories I've ever read. And like it's just incredible. And the saddest part about it is Stephen King ended it so well, like so dramatically, and he's not known for his like great endings. And because of real world events that have occurred over the past couple of decades, we will never actually see the ending that he wrote in that book come to fruition in a live action readaptation.
I
Like,
will say the ending of this one is so great. It doesn't need a sequel. It doesn't need a second season.
oh, those are my
I,
favorite.
it's similar to what you're saying, Brandon, and I will say go watch it on Netflix.
It's on my list, dude. I will definitely. I will take your recommendation in serious consideration now for sure. Thank you.
Speaking of lists, what's your number one?
My numero uno is Superman and Lois.
I knew it.
I was so happy with that show. It's something so completely different than anything that has ever been done with Superman as a character in a live action medium before. But that being said, they progressed both Clark and Lois's characters, but they didn't change who they are as people, as characters. They just made them go through different situations that they've grown through, and they have a family now, and like this whole new dynamic where they're a mother and father as well as a husband and wife and a reporter and superhero team. So like and to start off like right off the bat, I was very pleased to see Sean, oh god, the really fucking Irish guy. He plays Sam Lane in the show. He was on Nip Tuck. um Sam Lane is Lois Lane's father. He's a notorious dickhead in the comic books. General Samuel Lane, and he is not. Was it Sean Dylan Walsh? I'm sorry, his character on Nip Tuck was named Sean. Dylan Walsh is his name, and he actually, I liked him in the show. Which, honest, as a comic book nerd, I thought absolutely I was going to despise him within the first 6 minutes of it. And by the end of the season, I was like, "Oh man, he's fucking cool. Like he's awesome. Like he really he cares, man. That's really good to see." But the person that impressed me the most, and I know it's weird saying this, is Elizabeth Tulloch, Bitsy Tulloch, who plays Lois Lane in the show. Um, I think she very deftly maneuvers the characteristics of Lois Lane that we've seen played up through the different ages, the different decades that the character has been represented. I like Noel Neal, Phyllis Coates, Margot Kidder, even Erica Durrance in Smallville for sure. And the funny thing is, like, to look at her, I mean, and I'm not like one of those guys. It's just like Bitsy Tulloch is a bit more of like a plain Jane. Um, but that's just to look at her. When you actually see her as the character, like she's got a fire to her. And it's when seeing her do that, I'm like, oh, that's exactly why Clark Kent would fall in love with Lois Lane. Like she is like no one he's ever met before. It makes perfect sense. And the fact that they play up a little bit of their love story in the show, she very much like covered Superman as a story for the planet, but she fell in love with Clark. Like she had no idea that they were the same person, and they had been dating just like for a like few months, and they both like fell head over heels, and he ended up telling her, and she was like on his team since that moment. And it was just like it was so clean and neat, and it wasn't drawn out in that whole like she treats Clark shitty, but like fawns over Superman. She actually was like the opposite kind of like, she was like, yeah, Superman, he's a fucking dude in a cape that flies around. Like, who has time for that shit? Clark, though, he buys me Chinese food and watches movies with me at home. That's awesome, and that's one of those very believable things that you never really see done with those characters. And it left me wanting to see more, which the new season is starting up soon on CW. It's very much unlike any other CW superhero show. It is very high quality. It is not the angsty teenage soap opera stuff.
You mean it's actually good?
Yeah, well, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're looking for. I'm just saying, like, this is something that you could easily see on HBO Max instead of the CW.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And there's a couple big things that happen in the first season. I was I actually geeked out because I wasn't anticipating it. It threw me for a loop, and I'm usually very good at guessing shit. The character who they are playing up as being like the bad guy / Lex Luthor ends up not being Lex Luthor at all. He's like a 30-something, very handsome, bald black man, and he's got this like suit of armor, just like you've seen Lex Luthor have in the comic books in the past. And that's when you find out he's from another reality where Superman like went fucking bananas and started wasting everybody in sight, and he managed to like somehow get to this reality, this dimension. It was likely because of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the crossover they did. And you find out that this guy is actually John Henry Irons, Steel from the comic books. And then he finally goes full on at Superman, trying to take him out because he thinks this one's going to be evil, just like the one from his reality. And he puts his hand out at one point wearing the armor, and there it fucking comes, a huge goddamn mechanized sledgehammer that he uses to try to beat the shit out of Superman. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I lost it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, suck on that, Shaquille. And it was great. And I just cannot. And some of the stuff they did with Superman's family, his Kryptonian family, stuff that we've never seen before, and it worked. I mean, there was an evil Kryptonian that shows up, and of course, I was thinking it. I know everybody else was like, "Oh, good, General Zod again. This is great." And then it ends up not even being fucking close, not close at all. You find out that the bad guy is actually related to Superman by closer means than you would think. And it gives a little glimpse into like what his family's like history was before Krypton was destroyed. And I just can't wait to see where they go moving forward. And the fact that they're keeping it to like 15 episodes for this coming season, that's great to me, because it means it's going to be all killer, no filler, just like that first season was. So yeah, that's my number one pick. It was the biggest surprise for me. I was setting myself up for disappointment, and instead, like, I absolutely fell in love with those iterations of the characters.
Nice. That was definitely on my my list as well. Not my brain's mush. My
Honorable
brain-
mentions.
Honorable mentions. Thank you. I don't know why I keep on forgetting that. Obviously all the Disney ones are on my honorable mentions, the Marvel ones. But some you should definitely check out if you haven't. Cobra Kai, Acapulco, Invincible, and I know you mentioned Only Murders in the Building.
I would also like to add, if you get the chance, it's on AMC. Check out Kevin Can Fuck Himself, starring Annie Murphy from Schitt's Creek. It's sublime. Like, it is. The first episode, it may be a little jarring for you. I know it was for me, because it jumps back and forth between like a 4-camera sitcom and like a multi-camera like drama, like live studio audience, and then all of a sudden it looks like fucking Ozark. You know what I mean? But it was created by Rashida Jones and her writing partner. I think Will McCormick is his name. And man, the fact that they got this made on AMC and that they have one more season they're doing, it's only going to be 2 seasons and then it's done. Like, I cannot wait to see how it works out. And I'm not going to tell you much about the show. Just watch it. You'll find out pretty quick.
Comedy, a drama?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a comedy, drama, murder farce.
Okay.
Yeah, it's darkly comic at best for sure. But man, if you're from New England, you've definitely met dudes like Kevin before. Definitely. Like he reminds me of guys that I fucking like grew up around back in like Charlestown. Like he's a piece of work.
I'll check it out. Cool. Did you guys have any other honorable mentions that you want?
Yes.
Yes.
I did. Yeah.
Let Steve go.
Well, for the wrestling fans in the chat and anyone here, just AEW. Obviously they shifted to TBS from TNT today, but they've been putting out banger after banger after banger of content, and they're putting WWE out to pasture. I hate to say it, but WWE is getting stale and they're going downhill, but AEW is rising from the ashes like a phoenix. So, if you're a wrestling fan, definitely check out AEW and unsubscribe from Peacock and sell your WWE stock.
I will never unsubscribe from Peacock. Never. I might. Who knows?
That's my honorable mention if you're
Okay.
a wrestling fan.
Yeah, when I was in the 80s, NWA, I believe, is what I always watched, which had the Rock and Roll Express. And I don't know what NWA ended up becoming because everybody keeps changing to some other.
So, NWA in the territories was down south in Georgia, and then it became Jim Crockett Promotions, and then Ted Turner bought it, made it WCW. That became on TNT, and then they got bought out by Vince with WWE, and now TNT with the Time Warner AOL merger, they don't have any wrestling on TNT until a few years ago when AEW showed up, the little independent wrestling company that showed up on TNT and is putting WWE to shame.
Nice. Yeah, NWA was the thing for me. You had Rock and Roll Express, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Nikita Koloff, Magnum TA. I'm trying to remember the Four Horsemen, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, that's what I watched back in the day.
Nice.
That is way too much wrestling information that I
Yeah. Like I'm sitting here like that's fucking awesome that you can just rattle that off. I'm sitting here like I remember like Junkyard Dog when I was a kid. Like, Hulk Hogan was British Bulldog one of them. Like, that's what I got. My last honorable mention is actually not a TV show, and I don't want to expand upon it because I know that at least two of you here fucking don't like it, and that's fine, Leo and Steve. But my honorable mention, it's a movie, is
go ahead and say it.
The Matrix Resurrections. I'm not saying it was like the best movie. That's not it at all. But what for me, I was so sorely disappointed in the two sequels to The Matrix, Reloaded and Revolutions. And I sat down and watched this movie with the same open mind that I sat down to those two sequels with. And I found that Lana Wachowski clearly understood a lot of the issues with those other two. And right off the bat, she did what I insisted should have been done in the first movie if they had ever actually planned on making a trilogy, which they clearly fucking didn't. It makes perfect sense to me that Neo would be nerfed considerably because how do you write for a character that can literally do anything he fucking wants? That's the issue they ran into with the sequels. They made him too powerful at the end of the first, what was clearly supposed to be a standalone movie, but ended up being the first movie. And I'm sorry because I don't really care about people's like weird reactions to Trinity's involvement with how everything works, but it makes perfect sense if you really watch the themes of that movie itself. I mean, right off the bat, the game modal that he's working on is called binary. I mean, it's 1 and 0. The name of the fucking city now is Io, which close to binary would look like a 1 and a 0. You know, it's clearly about duality and bringing two halves of a whole together. And really, ultimately, what that means is you have to reframe everything that you saw from the first 3 movies, because the point is not that Neo is the one. The point is that Neo and Trinity are the one. And I really dug on that, and I feel like if they had driven more towards that point in the initial trilogy, it would have felt far more cohesive and coherent by the time it finished, and so many of us wouldn't walked out of the 3rd movie just like let me put it this way. I walked out of the first movie and I was like, "What the fuck did I just see? What the fuck? What the fuck did I just see?" I walked out of the 3rd movie, I was like, "What the fuck did I just see? The fuck did I just see?" This made a lot of headway for me, and I actually really enjoyed how manic and fucking assholish Neil Patrick Harris was in it, and Jonathan Groff I think did a very admirable job of being the new skinned program inside of it. There's a lot of stuff that can be unpacked from the movie that could be in an episode in and of itself. A lot of back and forth between me and the 2 guys that fucking hated it here too. But like I understand it's not for everyone, and it's not in my top 3 either. That's why it's an honorable mention. But I do think it gave a lot of people a lot to think about, and I am impressed with how Lana Wachowski did the whole meta stuff inside of it. And I think if he were still alive and he watched like sci-fi movies, that Wes Craven would have had a smile on his face when getting to the end of it.
Well, I totally loved that. You loved it, and
no, I mean I get it's not for everyone.
I don't want to trash on anybody's what anybody likes, and it's
and please don't mistake me. Like I understand. I just said like a decent amount on it. That I'm not saying like there's nothing to read between the lines there. I'm not implying like, oh, if you didn't get it, then you.
Oh no, and I'm not saying.
Oh no, I shouldn't say you. Like if one doesn't get it, then that one is an idiot. Or no.
It's certainly a movie where you're going to go in, you're either going to hate it or you're going to love it. And
well, I mean, I wouldn't even say I loved it. Like I wouldn't.
You thoroughly enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it, but that's. I think my expectations were tempered just because of the past like few years of what we've seen the Wachowskis do. Yeah. I think like I really enjoyed the movie Cloud Atlas. I saw it in theaters. I didn't know exactly what to expect, and I was honestly very, very taken with what the Wachowskis and Tom Twicker did as the directors for that movie. It's not exactly meta, but it's like a Russian doll of a story. Like it's a story within a story within a story. And I, my ADHD, like I hyper focused on that. And there's actually a certain point in that movie where they speak like a broken type of English. And I was sitting next to my friend who I went to see the movie with, and I was like, are they going to talk like that for this whole fucking sequence? And the fucking craziest thing was after about 3 to 5 minutes, I completely fucking understood everything they were saying. That's impressive, to make a thing up like that and get it to the point where they played with the language so it was accessible to the human brain just by getting used to it after a couple of minutes. I can't even imagine the mechanics involved with doing just that thing, let alone the fucking special effects and action and all the other stuff that needs to go on to make a movie. But it was a deeply philosophical flick, and I could kind of see like, oh, this is the bend of what they're into now. Like they're going past like simulation and simulacra, and is the world real? And it's more like the world is real when you make it real. Like, and that's a big part of what Cloud Atlas is. And I see the bleed over to something like The Matrix Resurrections. There's clearly a lot more personal stuff in that than there was in the 2 sequels following the first Matrix. And that's because I haven't deep dived, but I kept that in my mind. Like, this is the kind of shit the Wachowskis are into now. Thank God that I think it was more Cloud Atlas than fucking Jupiter Ascending. But it's still fun to see that they enjoy working with actors and actresses that they've had on previous projects as well. Like, I got a kick out of seeing Christina Ricci show up in The Matrix Resurrections briefly. Like, oh hey, and I turned to my wife. I was like, she was in Speed Racer. That's why she's in this movie. Like, I guess we couldn't get Emile Hirsch in on set, but yeah, if you didn't like it, hey man, that's, if one didn't like it, that's awesome. Yeah, I get it. I totally do. If you were expecting it to be more bombastic and closer to what the original trilogy showed us, that's understandable. I get it for sure. For me, I think I was leaning more towards that philosophical aspect, and for me, I was very satisfied because that's exactly the nail that Lana Wachowski was trying to hit on the head. That's all.
Nice. We are running late, so you know what? We'll unless you guys had something really spectacular for games, we can hold that off.
No,
No,
not at all, really. I mean, Metroid Dread is really good. You know that. Everybody
Right.
knows that.
Resident Evil Village was my pick for best game of 2021. For those of you who haven't played it, play it. Snoo Snoo Alert, Mega Snoo Snoo Alert. That's my pick.
okay.
I'm still stuck on playing old games because that's who I am. So
No,
Battlefront, Star Wars
I-
Battlefront 2. And recently I found Time Splitters 1 and Time Splitters 2 on the Xbox store. And I'm like, I got to download these because I haven't played these in forever. And then in the first level, I'm like, now I know why I don't play these games anymore. Freaking son of a...
I will say before we wrap up, a little birdie told me that this year is the 25th anniversary of GoldenEye on the N64. I've been hearing rumblings that something big is coming with that game. We might get it on Xbox. We might get it on the Switch. I'm hearing rumblings.
Yeah, and I tell you, I love Perfect Dark, and I'll play multiplayer with people, and they get frustrated because I usually win because I don't really cheat. I just have this strategy that normally works for me. But I'd love to be able to play GoldenEye again. This has nothing to do with movies, television, or games, but one of the best things I discovered last year, and for those of you who may fly every now and then to somewhere, and the little stewardess or whatever comes down the thing and says, "Would you like a cookie or a pretzel?" And they give you these little cookies right here when you're flying. Well, I discovered this.
Oh my.
Yeah, so this stuff is like crack. Like it is the yummiest stuff on the planet. Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
it's like you're still playing a game though. It's like, hey, how fast can I induce diabetes? That's
So
fun.
this
Yeah.
to me is the best of 2021 right here.
Awesome.
I played Metroid Dread. I bought it and played it. I also had a lot of fun playing the Avengers on PS4. More than I thought I would. But for me, the number one game of 2021, and you'll like this, RW, just because it's not an actual modern game. I fucking said fuck this noise, and I bought myself a GameCube, and I got Beautiful Joe, which I had not played in years, and I've nerded the fuck out playing that game like day and night, and I mollywopped it, but it took me a little bit to get back into the swing of it. But I seriously was sitting there, I was like, why the fuck did I ever get rid of my GameCube? Like I was like, why did I do that? How stupid was I? Yeah, that was my number one game, just because it was definitely tied into nostalgia, but holy shit, like that was just fun, man.
What's the
like,
game?
It's Beautiful Joe.
Wow, I never heard of that. I had a game. I mean, I still have a GameCube. I was more like Double Dash, I think, is what I was.
Well, yeah. Well, the cool thing about it is it's by Capcom.
Yeah,
and it's a side scroller, but it's like a 3D side scroller. So like the screen turns, and like the premise of it is like very much like what Purple Rose of Cairo and Last Action Hero kind of shit, where kid is super into like these like what's the superhero term in Japan? Zentai or no sensei? So, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But it's like one of those old school like Japanese superhero movies, like one of the characters, and the kid's really into it, and he gets sucked into the movie because he needs to save his girlfriend who was just grabbed by one of the monsters through the screen into it. And it's a lot of fun. He becomes like his own hero inside of the movie called Beautiful Joe. And you just go around kicking ass, and it's so much fun. My only regret was like not having like acid to do while I was playing it. Like it's just so fucking nuts.
So Tracy's youngest son wanted this for Christmas, and so she found one and she got it for him, and we actually played this the other day.
Oh, that's a game, man. Like you could have brought that up.
Yeah, so that's like a long time school ago. And what's funny is it comes with the VHS tape, but I guess somebody put that on YouTube. So we were able to just YouTube the video while playing the game. But yeah, talk about old school retro stuff. Star Wars, the VCR game or whatever. So that was kind of nifty to go back in time and play that or whatever. And we won, but then after we won and we looked at the rules again, we're like, oh, we totally cheated and didn't realize it. So we probably shouldn't have won. So yeah, we're going to try to play it again at some point.
Nice. So yeah, I is that all the games then? Have we covered it?
Yeah, I mean, the only other one I had on my list was Far Cry 6. But it's not as good as 5. But it's yeah, Metroid Dread's obviously.
Actually, your pick should be the PS5, Leo, because you're the lucky SOB that got a PS5.
I was very lucky. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
Good for you, man.
we're gonna wrap things up. Yeah, I don't want to spread the. I know people are having a hard time getting it, so I don't want to brag about it. Yeah, so
We were doing it for you. No worries.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, much appreciated. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. And RW, where do you like people interacting with you?
Well, if you go to here at the bottom of the page is all the links to all the places that I can be followed. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Cameo, Tenor, all the places. And don't forget to pick up my book, Life Inside My Head, A Scattered Tale Living with ADHD Ramblings by yours truly, RW Martin, which there's a link at that site to get it. So thank you guys for, your support.
Always. Steven.
You can follow Super Retro Throwback Reviews on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And as always, we're here on the Dorkening Podcast Network. We have 2 shows, Super Retro Throwback Reviews, the Audio Files, and CSI The Vegas Files. Super Retro Throwback Reviews, the Audio Files comes out every Monday. Our 10th season premiere has already gone live, so check that out. CSI The Vegas Files Season 4 goes live on Friday. And we're here every Wednesday, providing something doesn't happen or an emergency or something like that on the Dorkening. And check out our Patreon and our Teespring store. Links are in the show notes.
Okay. Brandon.
Hey, everybody. You could come on over and check out the Facebook group Powers Combined. That would be a lot of fun. It's a group I started up a while ago. It's for geeks, nerds, dorks, and everything in between. We just get together and have a good time, share info, laughs, memes. Our number one rule is don't be a jerk. If you violate it, you will be booted immediately. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon's Powers and on Instagram at This Brandon Has Powers. And you can find me here on Wednesday nights with Leo, Steve, RW, and whoever else might traipse along, I suppose. And, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Dorkening. And also, I'm doing a couple podcasts with Justin Cooper and Leo. One called The Dork Night, which covers all the fun stuff that everybody loves about Batman. I'm the voice of reason. And we also have another one called Comics Paradox, which we talk about different alternate reality takes, primarily right now from DC and Marvel, looking at like what ifs and Elseworlds, but overall alternate reality tales involving characters and such that you'd be familiar with. It's a lot of fun, and with what if starting up this past year and multiversal stuff popping up all over the place. I think it's got a lot of stuff that people might be interested to learn about as we go through some of those issues of different comic book series. So, yeah.
And let's be honest, you and Justin are definitely the brains of that. I'm just there for comic relief.
We all play our parts, Leo. Some of our parts are better than others, though.
Yeah. Somebody may be the jester. So.
Jesus, Mary and Jester.
And for me, just follow these awesome people. That's what I want you to do. Just Google Leo Pond, but check out the Dorkening. We got about 40 shows on the network. A lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. And with that, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.